Well, listening to the last lines of Mr. Kirti Menon, I was just wondering whether we'll need a heavy atmosphere to swing the votes, or we'll go by what Mr. Mahendra Singh Dhoni says, we need a spinning track. Okay. So, good morning. It was William Shakespeare who said that all the world is a stage and all of us are actors playing our roles. I think the important word is all of us. I think all of us are actors with definite roles. It involves all of us, and I believe that each of us human beings are potentially a resource for our country. And the government needs to invest in us rather than providing for some of us. Because I think each of us are serious citizens of this country. You agree or you don't? Then clap, clap. Yeah. Right, so we move on. The year was 1989. The city was Dehradun. And I was a guest at the National Institute for the Visually Handicapped, and I was staying at the guest house. And one morning, I woke up to the sound of cricket commentary. I could hear a voice saying, Kapil Dev moves into bowl to Sunil Gavaskar. I immediately got up because I happen to be a cricket fan and very passionate about it. And I just said, okay, let me see what Gavaskar and Kapil Dev are doing here. And I ran out. And when I got to the ground, I saw a group of kids playing cricket. And when I went closer, I realized all of them were visually impaired and totally blind. The commentary was being given by the wicketkeeper, and the batting was very skilled, the bowling was accurate, the fielding was athletic. And I found that people were having fun. And I asked the physical training instructor as to what is this game about. So he explained that the ball was made of plastic, it had ball bearings inside, the bowling was underarm, and these kids, they woke up in the morning, they played cricket, they went for breakfast, came back and played cricket, they went to class, came back and played cricket, they went for lunch, came back and had cricket, and then the umpires would have to say, boys, it's a bad light, I can't see. So, ladies and gentlemen, I realized that cricket was not just an India passion, it was a passion with the blind too. And I realized when I visited Australia in 1995, a lot of children with intellectual disability were actually playing cricket. And I saw a game where blind children were playing cricket against intellectually challenged cricketers. Now, I hope I'm using the right word, Mr. Menon. They were having fun. And I think the point I'd like to make over here is that sport is a platform which generates passion. And to live life, we need passion. This is the first of 5 points that I want to make this morning. The second point I'd like to make is the year was 1993. The city was Ahmedabad, and it was the national cricket tournament for the blind, which was being played there. It was the finals between Karnataka and Gujarat. There was a fairly large crowd, meaning about 500 people who came to watch the game. And initially, when they all came, it was curiosity. Arey yaar, blind log cricket khel rahe hain. How do they play the game? You know, that was the question in everybody's mind. But what I noticed was, half an hour into the game, people were not bothered whether they were blind or not. They wanted to know what the score was. They wanted to know what batsman with the red cap had scored. They wanted to know how many overs were bowled by a particular bowler. It was cricket. It was cricket. They were not, the fact that they were disabled cricketers didn't really count anymore. The focus had shifted from the disability to the ability. And as I was telling some friends last evening, we always to start with, think of what we don't have. I believe it's important for us to look at what we have and be happy about it. I believe it's important for us to think about our abilities and talents. It is important for us to think about what we can do and try and nurture that into productive resource that we can use later on in life as we go along. So the whole point here is focus on the ability rather than the disability. And I believe that every single human being has an ability. I have a friend in Delhi. He spends all his time lying flat on his back because he had a bullet which was put through the back of his head. But believe me, ladies and gentlemen, this man controls a huge organization called Family of the Disabled. From the bed, he's got people working for him. He's got a whole lot of volunteers and things who connect on the telephone, and they're doing various projects. They have employment projects, they have education projects, they have scholarships, the works. It's all done by this gentleman flat on his back. So there is a lot that every individual can bring to the table. And there is ability. Let's focus on that. Point number 2. Point number 3. The city was Cape Town. The year was 1997. I had the privilege of listening to a legendary West Indian cricketer by the name of Conrad Hunt. Heard the name? Opened the game in the 1960s for the West Indies. He was involved with the famous Tide Test at Brisbane. Now, Mr. Hunt said, I was born with a triple handicap. I was born black, I was born poor, and I was born not knowing who my parents were. I grew up on the pavements, literally, of Barbados. And he said that he played cricket, and cricket gave him the mantra of success in life. And he shared that the mantra of success in life were the 5 Ds that he imbibed from cricket. The first D was, he learnt to dream. In Hindi they say, sapna dekhna. The second D is, he developed the desire to fulfill the dream. The third D was, he learnt discipline. The fourth D was, he learnt dedication. And the fifth D was, he learnt determination. And he says, you have these 5 Ds, nobody can stop you in life. And I believe, as Mr. Hunt very, very aptly said, cricket and any sport for that matter actually teaches you these 5 Ds. There have been great stories of dreams being fulfilled through sport. There have been great display of discipline, because you need to succeed in life. You need to have a discipline. You need to work on things. Dedication is required. Determination required. So the 5 Ds is the gift of sport to any human being who plays it seriously. Having said these 3 things, there is the 4th point I'd like to make. The 4th point is, cricket is a team sport. And every member of the team contributes to the up or the down of the team. And as long as you are a contributor, you are an active, wanted member of the team. So a person who plays a sport learns to contribute. And I also believe to be part of this community, to be part of a family, to be part of this nation, to be respected, to be living with dignity, you need to learn to contribute. Whatever be the level of contribution, you need to contribute to be part of the family, contribute to be part of the community, contribute to be a respected, contributing member of the country. And this is very true, because in sport, today, as the Calcutta Test match is about to start on the 5th, there are questions being asked in the media, there are questions being asked in various circles, should the great Sachin Tendulkar be part of this team? Now, we might have debates on this. I'm not getting into that. But the fact of the matter is, as long as people are contributing, no questions are asked. They are great. This happens to the best of us. The day we stop contributing or our contributing level starts dropping, people start questioning. And after a while, you get dropped if you don't go out yourself. So it is about contribution. If you, the title of the summit is India Inclusion Summit. Inclusion. If we need to be included, if I need to be included, ladies and gentlemen, I need to contribute. And that's why I said in the beginning, all of us have a role to play. And that role happens only when I'm invested in, I'm trained, I'm educated, I'm kind of coached to play a particular role. Whatever be the role, I need to be educated, trained, and coached to actually play that role. And that's why the government, the community, and the family needs to invest in me so that I become a contributor. And inclusion, whether it's a conversation, whether it is a game, whether it is a job, as long as you contribute, you are in. The moment you stop contributing, you're even out of the conversation socially. So that's a very simple concept. So having said and made these 4 points, I would also like to add another point which I've realized with my 20 odd years, 1990 to 2012, so 22 years of involvement with people with disability across the country, also interacting with other stakeholders like people in the government, people, professionals in the disability space, corporates. What I've realized is, and this is the punchline that we use at SCORE Foundation, the organization that I run, that blindness is not the real problem. It is the way we think. And I personally would like to say at this platform that disability perhaps is not the real problem. It is the way people think. And people think on the basis of what they know. And what they know about disability, ladies and gentlemen, is very little. And because they don't know, they respond to the way they respond. Even people with disability, because they don't know enough, they don't aspire high. Without aspirations, you don't go anywhere. The aspiration is the starting point. And belief that you can aspire, you can achieve what you've aspired for is where what drives you. If the family members are not aware of what is possible, then you don't go anywhere. If the community is not aware of what is possible with people with disability, they don't give you the space. If the government is not aware of what is possible, they don't invest in the right places. And hence, we have exclusion, lack of access, and total marginalization. So, I'd just like to take a minute or two to just tell you about what we do because of this realization that blindness is not the real problem, it is the way we think. And this is something to do with what Firoz had said, that there is lack of awareness. So we launched a project called iWay way back in 2002, which is a single-stop knowledge resource on life with blindness. And our dream is that this resource becomes a national network of knowledge hubs in every state of India, given the fact that India has as many languages as probably as many people. So we need to reach out to people with information in the language they actually understand. So that's our vision and dream, that we reach out to people with information. And what we've also realized is that to change the mindset, on the one hand, we inform and inspire and empower people with disability. On the other hand, there are strategic groups in the community that needs to be worked with. In the case of blind and visually impaired people, we have started working with ophthalmologists. Now, ophthalmologists, we believe, know everything about the eye, but medical school does not teach them what happens to a person when there is an irreversible eye condition. An ophthalmologist can fix a cataract, an ophthalmologist can fix glaucoma, an ophthalmologist can fix corneal blindness, But what about retinal disorders? What about optic nerve disorders and so many others? These people too have to live life. The ophthalmologist just says there's nothing more I can do. I'm taking the example of blindness. This applies to my mind, every medical professional. Because they are the first people we go to when we have a disorder. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, these people have great influence over their patients. I would use the word not patients, over their clients. And I think they should use that opportunity to actually tell the client, okay, this disorder does not have a treatment, but life goes on. Why don't you go to so-and-so organization or call up this number so that you get advice and information on how to move on, rather than saying, there is nothing more I can do for you. So the medical professionals, to my mind, very influential people. Second group is the media people. Now, everybody watches television, everybody reads the newspaper, everybody listens to the radio. But the media people also look at disability as a soft story, a human interest story. Or a disabled person is either a hero or a zero. You know, we are not the Aam Aadmi, the mango people of this country. You know, so it's important for media people to be educated and sensitized, and so that they present and project us as the Aam Aadmi. Thirdly, we have the religious people, the pujaris, the Maulvis, the priests, the Gurudwara, the priests over there. They have a great influence over their followers. Instead of, I get calls every day from at least 10 people calling up to say, I've got your number from the Just Dial services. Are you an institution working with the blind? And I say yes. I would like to feed 13 blind people. Or somebody else says, I want to feed 17 blind people. They come up with precise numbers. So I say, why do you want 17 people? Well, that's what the priest told me. So the priests, to my mind, have tremendous influence over their devotees, and they can play a very, very positive role in actually telling the devotees, look, people with disability are people. They need to be invested in, they need to be promoted, they need to be educated, and they need to be part of our society. Instead, they say, feed them. Okay, moving on. We have the judiciary. Today is the day when a lot of things are taken to court. Even we disabled people take matters to court. Now, what happens when we take matters to court? Very often, the judges, they listen to us, they're sympathetic. But it is important for them to realize and recognize the fact that we are serious people too. And therefore, judgments have to be made not on sympathy, but on justice. And therefore, the judiciary needs to be sensitized. Then we move on to the bureaucrats. The bureaucrats are the people who design programs, policies, and so on. I was part of the 12th Plan Steering Committee, and I had the privilege of listening to various senior bureaucrats speak about what the plans were for the next 5 years. One very common thread which went through all the presentations were that we have allocated money for providing this, allocated money for shelter homes, shelter workshops, blah, 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 blah. And it was very clear that they felt the burden of looking after the 10% of the population of this country is on the poor government. And if they continue with this mindset, this conversation will remain the same in the next 40 years, 50 years, 100 years. We will have the same conversation. We might not be there, but there will be our children who will be speaking the same stuff. If we have to be game changers, I think it's important that we drive home the fact that we are resources of this country and not people to be looked after. We have to bring home that point so that the government and the bureaucracy starts looking at innovations and programs which actually change the way people with disability live lives. Today it might look like, it's a major task. We are at the foot of Mount Everest, but Mount Everest too can be climbed. Believe me, a blind guy climbed Mount Everest in 2001. Have you heard of this? Eric Weinmeier. So, you know, everything is possible provided there is the right investment, the right training. The bureaucrats, then the politicians, and so on and so forth. So there are strategic groups that I think we need to work with on a systematic way so that the mindset changes and the social work moves to development. The other interesting, the last point observation I'd like to make before I close is that today we all run NGOs. There are a lot of NGOs in the hall. I am also running an NGO. The moment we go to a funding agency and government saying we are getting this professional to work with us, this is what he's going to be doing, we're going to pay him 60,000 rupees a month. Hey, why so much money? SAP Labs can pay their professionals money, but we development agencies cannot pay our professionals money. You know, if we are going to make real change in the way the country runs, the development sector has to be run by professionals. You know, we need to get professionals involved. Everything has to become professional so that there is real change. We have impact that we make. There are timelines that we follow, and the conversation changes in the next 10 to 15 years. So I'd just like to repeat my first line, which is, remember, ladies and gentlemen, I might be blind, but I am a resource for this country. Please invest in me. Thank you.